just topping up the oil and changing the tyres as well, but the alternator and the battery problem has been ongoing. Mind you, it's not something they're paying a lot of attention to at the moment, so maybe it was just the odd connection there, because it's not something that's put a lot of time in during this stop. It's mainly been change of tyre and driver. Larry Perkins now coming out. Interestingly, the car's had a bit of a shunt up the front while it's been out there as well. So, and now more trouble. I think Steve Harrington is pointing to the crew. Seems to have some sort of problem, but he hasn't cut the engine, so you would think they would be going shortly. But this has been a fairly lengthy stop for what was really hoped to be just the changing of one connection. Trouble's the back left-hand wheel. It's now done. They're off. But that's cost them a bit of time, and they haven't really had a lot of time to play around with all the mistakes they've had.
Rejoining the race in 12th position is the Perkins-Harrington Commodore, Bob Jane sponsored entry. And we go back to race leader Mark Skaife. A young man in a hurry, and he's in such a hurry he's achieved almost everything at the age of 25. The Australian Touring Car Championship, defending champion here in the Tooheys 1000 at Mount Panorama. That was after having finished second in the Touring Car Championship of 1991. He's also the Australian Drivers' Champion, and originally from the Central Coast of New South Wales, but now firmly ensconced in Melbourne, headquarters of the Winfield Nissan team.
We've got some of the telemetry from Johnson's car in the hands of Johnny Bowe. At the moment, there you are. You can see what the car's actually doing. This is the way they monitor the health of these vehicles as they race back in the pits.
Yeah, very often the guys in the in pit lane actually find out there's something wrong with the car before the driver does, before he gets a chance to look at the gauges, and you can see the turbo boost pressure there in the middle going up and down as Johnny Bowe presses on the throttle and then backs off either for a slower car in front of him or one of the tighter corners.
So we've got a tacho at the top, Richard.
Yep.
And then we've got barometric pressure, how much pressure we've got in there.
Yep.
And we've got speedo there that reads out below that in numerals.
And then you can see what gear he's in at the bottom there. Just drops down to second as he makes his way down through the dipper. Are some of the slower cars. And now.
So these days, for the contemporary touring car driver with this sort of technology available, Big Brother is always watching. You can't say that you didn't over-rev it. You can't say that you weren't hammering the brakes.
Certainly is. The telemetry readout from Klaus Needsvit's run in the top 10 yesterday showed how his foot had slipped off the throttle twice, and the boost and the revs just died.
You can't come back and fib to the team boss anymore.
Temperatures there, so the water temperature at the top, and the oil temperature and the oil pressure down below.
And indeed, if we're getting any charge from the alternator, that car looks pretty healthy. It's looked healthy all day, it's sounded healthy all day, and it's doing the Shell team proud.
Larry Perkins could perhaps have done with having a look at one of those when the battery died on his car earlier on.
First the battery, and then the alternator, and I think they've actually been in twice to look at the alternator. It's cost Larry Perkins a great deal of time.
Number 2, Nissan, with Anders Olofsson at the wheel, coming in.
Now this will be a driver change. Crompton will get in here.
Mark Osler's there.
Absolutely. Wilco, Neil Crompton getting in, Anders Olofsson out of the car. These guys are going to affect a front brake pad change. Due to those pace laps earlier in the race, it was nice and cool. They have reduced their brake pad wear quite substantially. So as you can see, doing a quick brake pad change. Freddie Gibson said he could affect this change in about 40 seconds front to back, so they're only looking up the front, so that'll be even shorter still. I've just been timing the gap between the 17 car and the car 2 is about 35 seconds. So that'll drop Crompton back and, of course, move the 25 car up into 3rd position. It's going to be a sting tactical battle from here.
Well, the set of pads going into that rear wheel there took a little bit longer than the rest of the car, so the stop taking longer than Freddie Gibson would like, I'm sure. But wheel on, air jack hammers the nut tight. And back into the race goes Neil Crompton, now at the wheel of car number 2.
Dick Johnson getting ready. The Shell boys obviously are going to be coming in shortly. He's getting geared up for what will be the final driver change for this car.
Mark Skaife into the pits, Jimmy Richards into the car. But while that was happening, that has enabled John Bow, the number 17 car, to go through and take over the lead in the race, but he has yet to pit. And there's the man that has to take over for the run to the checkered flag, and that's Dick Johnson. As we go to Jimmy Richards. There's apparently a problem there with the fire extinguisher inside the car. It's gone off, as you can see, across to the right. It's covered one of the lens with foam.
Just up to the top right hand of the picture, you can see the foam all over the race cam.
I wonder, Jim wouldn't appreciate if we asked to come in and just clean the lens for us, would he?
That's the shot.
That's the shot. That's why we can't generate race cam out, because the fire extinguisher's gone off inside the car. Actually, it's spitting.
We lost a bit of foam there. Let's have a look at it again. Don't let it put you off, Jim.
So that's the situation as Jimmy Richards goes through.
Dick Johnson jumping into the number 17 Shell Sierra, the new race leader. They are changing tyres. They're going to have a look at the brake pads. They're not quite sure if they're going to change it. Team manager Ross Stone, I only spoke to seconds ago, said they are going to have a look at them. This is their last chance. They do have the lead and they don't want to give it up. I say that as the Nissan of Jim Richards goes straight past the start-finish line. It doesn't look like they're going to change the pads from here. Just as I say that too, they do. This windscreen getting a bit of a clean. Johnson's ready to go. A face of stone. John Bow gets out dripping wet, but a very happy man. And everything seems to be going to plan. The back wheels are fine. We're just waiting on the two front wheels as they simultaneously put the pads on now. It will only be a matter of seconds here in the Shell pit.
This stop is actually taking a lot longer, I think, than the team would wish. 40 seconds, just over 40 seconds was what the Nissan managed to do it in. He still rejoins in second position though.
Mark Skaife just come in, the car's gone back into the lead, looking a very strong performance from the Nissans here today.
Well, it's been a fantastic performance. You know, obviously the weather's helped us a little bit, but the car's fantastic. That's as hard as you can drive the car just then, and obviously the car's going very, very well.
A few spots of rain now falling here in pit lane, and we have a report from Orange. Hailstorms.
Well, we've had everything else.
Well, I don't know. We might get the race in, hopefully, before the hail arrives.
Rain, hail, sleet and dark of night. It's a pity that the post office doesn't have an entry in the 30th anniversary race. They'd be a sure thing.
Terry Shield, the number 18, Dick Johnson, Shell Sierra, Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow. Mark Gibbs at the wheel of the GIO machine was 8th. They came into the pits.
Scott and Jason Bargwana on screen, and they are leading the 1600cc class in the Mercantile Mutual Corolla. 21st outright as well, which is a tremendous performance. There's been a three-way battle in this category all day between the Bargwana cousins, Peter Verheyen and Jeffrey Full in car 74, and the early leaders in the class, Rick and Neil Bates. They still fill the top 3 placings. And as I said, 21st outright for Scott and Jason Bargwana, and the other 2 not far astern of them as well.
Copper pilots have told us that there's more hail in Orange, and that hail is moving this way.
Car 55 in 7th position. We just saw it rejoin the race with Andrew Medicki at the wheel. Car 35, the Peter Jackson Sierra entry. The badly banged up Peter Jackson Sierra entry. Wayne Park in 8th position as they rejoin the race. David Parsons, yes, it is David Parsons at the wheel now.
Alan Grice into the pit, steps out of the 16 car, and Wyn Percy about ready to step in, and Andy's down there.
Luckily, it's John, Mike,
Okay,
but yes, great driver change and tyre change. Interesting that they would do it now. The weather closing in, you would have thought they may have tried to hold out a few extra laps and see if the rain started to come, but perhaps they just pushed it to the point where they needed to make the change anyway. Whatever it is, it's only a short stop for them, 24 seconds, so they'll be pretty happy with that.
You can see the storm moving in, and I would say it's not too many minutes away now. Nissan race cam, Jim Richards, Winfield Nissan number 1, the race leader by about a minute. They'll be coming in for a stop shortly.
To the danger now, they'll probably service the number 2 car, Neil Crompton.
and use it as an experimental vehicle.
Could do, put Anders Olofsson in the car, who's probably a lot more experienced with wet weather racing, or they may leave Neil in the car. We'll wait and see that.
We'll soon find out. Mark Osler is on the spot.
Thanks very much, Gary Wilkinson. Yes, Neil Crompton comes in and he's not getting out of the car. And the Nissan crew have been all sorts of consternation discussing with the Yokohama tyre engineers exactly what tyre to put on this car. It's just started to rain quite heavily in pit lane and they're putting on full wet weather tyres for the run to the finish. 143 laps, but of course, if the weather changes and it gets dry, Crompton's going to be back in again. This will be a fascinating finish to the Tooheys 1000. Freddie Gibson holding on to him. I've got the clock on 25 seconds. The car off the air jacks. Crompton mobile in 28 seconds. Very slick stop from the Nissan crew.
Yeah, fabulous stop. Now, anything that Dick Johnson had going for him, making inroads on Jimmy Richards, has now disappeared. With the arrival of the rain, they're all out there on slicks. There's going to be a mad charge through the pits here. There's no point staying out there. It's going to hang around this bad weather.
There it is.
There's Mark Gibbs going through in the GIO car. The idea now is to just ease it out and bring them on down into the pits. No heroic stuffs on Subaru Straight. You can see the guys have backed them all off, and here comes the charge into the pits. 55, Andrew Madecki is in. He's ready for a full set of wets.
Car 28, Kevin Waldock in the pits, same thing. Here comes Dick Johnson. It's a procession. There'll be nobody left on the racetrack.
You won't be able to hear for whistle blowing.
I know the roughest ride up there must be our helicopter cameraman and our pilots tracking race cam and bringing the pictures. It is filthy outside. Here's Johnson in. Keep in mind, Dick said he's got the headlights covered up with shell decals. Looks like a regulation stop down here, just a set of wets coming on.
Andy Raymond is there.
Yes, a full set of wets going on. John Bow is actually going to jump into the car. He's not doing that. The team very concerned about time. Team manager Ross Stone is really giving the boys a lot of hurry up here. As I said, the full wets are on as the Purse-Gricey car goes out, and Johnson is just about ready. Now he's going down from the hoist, and Dickie Johnson's back in action.
Gibbs Onslow car goes as well. There's going to be a man charge out of pit lane. Pace car, I think, is going to come out as well. Make sure that cars don't stay out there, because you can see what's happened up there. The
76 it is. One of the Corolla, the 1600cc cars, Calvin Gardner, Jeff Forshaw, Mike Conway. I couldn't quite see which of them was in the car, but he's out, he's okay. We can see that much.
Well, he's just okay. No, Jimmy Richards has hit the wall.
Well, Richo, of course, stuck on slicks and no traction at all, even for a four-wheel drive Nissan.
Well, here's Crompton's chance to be the ultimate hero.
That car is not going anywhere else but the pits this afternoon. The rain is now hitting the commentary booth so hard, you can hear it.
I would expect we might see a red flag. I can see them stopping this race.
Yeah.
Yes.
They must stop the race.
This is it. This will be the end. The red flag will be out before we finish our next sentence, I would say.
Well, now, if that happens, what they usually do is backdate the race by a lap or so, which could well see Jimmy Richards and Mark Skaife still taking victory.
Listen to the crowd. The top of the hill. This is the kind of send-off, and I don't want to...
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I don't want to be unkind to Winfield and the Nissan team, but the punters at the top of the hill, this is the kind of send-off they wanted to see for the Nissans.
Well, the Nissans got in. Jim went in gingerly, but he was trying to wipe off speed. Fred Gibson.
If they don't stop the race, there won't be any cars left to complete it anyway.
Oh, it stopped. I mean, you know, I mean, officially maybe not, but this is it. This is the end of it. There's no doubt about that. 144 laps gone, and we will not see 145. I mean, I can't believe that we will. Red flag is out.
Oh no! Just get out of that. Marshall will get hit if he doesn't get over the fence.
Red flag is out. The race is over in more ways than one for a lot of these competitors. Well, what in particular for Fred Gibson, Jim Richards, Mark Skaife, what a dreadful end to what had been a brilliant campaign for them here at Mount Panorama in the last hurrah for these Nissan GTRs.
I tell you what, the Nissans have hardly had any paint scratched on them since they've been racing.
The Daily Planet car involved in that, and two of the 1600cc Corollas. The Bates car is one of them, car 70. I can't see the number on the other. Car 39, 71, is it?
Car 71.
Yeah, so it was the class leader.
And the Bates car was second in the class.
Yeah.
So that's first and second in the class, both into the wall, along with the overall race leader.
The indications are, as Richard Hay pointed out a moment ago, Richards and Skaife, if they've called the race, which they have, may still be declared the winners. They will still be declared the winners. That's as we understand it at this stage. The red flag, as you can see, is out. The race is not just stopped, the race is over.
And Mark Skaife explaining exactly what happened, what he saw on the screen. So in the Winfield Nissan pits, they're investigating and trying to count back the laps. We'll wait on the clock.
Oh, the marshal's just fallen over in the wind. Not only are the cars losing traction, so are the marshals. He just went A over D down the grass verge.
Dick Johnson, relatively unscathed. Arm raised. Now, I don't know whether his arm is raised in what he thinks might be victory, but the indications that we've been given is that the #1 Nissan will still be declared the race winner.
There's the carnage coming out of Forest Elbow. John Brady with Ivan Stibbard hopefully will clear the air.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike. Ivan, red flag, it is all over, Red Rover?
All over, yes, unfortunately, but as you can see now, the weather's clearing up, but it's too late, it's all over, so we've declared it, and the timekeepers are now working out the final result.
Not afraid that you may have jumped a little early?
No, not if you saw what was happening there with some of those cars. It was a bit dangerous, and unfortunately, some of them don't heed the caution flags, and you only need 1 or 2 to do that, and that's what caused that problem.
OK, the $64 question, who is the winner?
I would say car 1. The race has got to be declared at the last full lap before the red flag went out, and he was still leading at that stage.
How close was he to the next full lap at the time?
Not sure until we get to the timekeepers on that, but he had a full lap up on him on the other cars, so that should be okay.
I just came around the corner and had no grip whatsoever, going about 2 miles an hour, and hit the bank just out of the cutting. So I just put it in low gear and just went very, very slowly around the track. At about 1 mile an hour, come out of the Forest Elbow, and the car just, as if it accelerated without me putting my foot on the accelerator, and it just went out of control down where the other cars were and hit them. And then the little Corolla did the same thing behind me.
You're obviously okay. The conditions out there, I guess they were worse than they were this morning because there's probably a lot more oil down.
Well, the conditions was wet and we were on slick tyres. That's what the problem was.
Well, Ivan Stibbard has just awarded the race to the #1 car. You must be pleased with that, even after the crash.
Fantastic. I can't believe it.
Well done, Jimmy Richards. And the crew celebrating here, Mark Skaife and Jim Richards. They've done it again. Very difficult circumstances. They ground away. Expert pit work kept the car on the island except for the last lap, but they were leading when the race was called. And here's our winners, Mark Skaife and Jimmy Richards.
Of course, the arrival of that storm produced quite a number of incidents. We'll have a look at some of them for you, just recap what happened, just in case you've arrived home. Jimmy Richards and Mark Skaife were leading this race. This is what happened on the exit to Forest Elbow. Brian Callahan, Barry Graham, the 39 car, spinning. Then triggered off is the Toyota Corolla.
That's Bates and Bates, I think, in the Daily Planet car.
And that, of course, Andrew Harris with the brakes on. Driver very quickly out of that. That was young Brian Callahan. Oh, here's the 76 car that hit the wall, got into with a wash. Now, he was quite okay. That is quite a connection with the concrete wall.
It is. It's a testimony to the way the car is built, actually, that you see the driver get out of it without a problem.
Boy,
and as you can see, climbing out. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his leg against the roll bar.
Very, very lucky boy indeed. And, of course, heading up to the top of the mountain, the flag show. I believe this was Neil Crompton as the Johnson car came across the front of it.
No, that's the Jim Richards car.
It was the Jim Richards car.
So it was between there and here that the damage was done. He's actually done it over the top at Skyline somewhere.
So here he comes down through the dipper, riding it all the way down through here, just limping back to the pits, wondering what on earth Fred Gibson would be thinking about all that. Marshals probably just couldn't believe it as he aquaplanes down through here on the way to Forest Elbow.
not realising, of course, that the red flag had been displayed earlier and that his first position was assured.
So he comes out of the corner. As I pointed out earlier, there's a kink to the left here, so Jim probably just goes to guide the car just a little to the left. There. The back of the car now breaks away. And Jim is chasing it. There's not a thing he can do. He's full on the brakes, tail into the wall, brings the front around, and he's on his way into the back of Andrew Harris's car. So exit Jimmy Richards.
And now the class leader.
The Toyota Corolla goes in there, and the rest of the field able to get by there on the inside. Here's another angle of the Toyota. Look at the marshals jumping back over the fence here. And he joins the party down there as well.
The winners of the great race for the second year running, Mark Skaife and Jim Richards. Well, it's a slightly hostile reception. A slightly hostile reception, Mark, but you always knew that you were going to get that to some degree. But regardless, forgetting all of that, it was a triumph out there today because they were the most adverse conditions that you could possibly have experienced.
Well, it was, but like we led the race all day. I can't believe this, you know, like the Nissan cars, Winfield, we've won the race. That's how it is.
Jim?
I'm just really stunned for words. I can't believe the reception. I thought Australian race fans had a lot more to go than this. This is bloody disgraceful. I'll keep racing, but I tell you what, this is going to remain with me for a long time. You're a pack of arseholes.
Okay, let's have a look now at the Caltex race score. These are the placings as of the Australian Racing Drivers Club. Jim Richards and Mark Skaife, the winners in the Winfield Nissan GTR. On the same lap, Dick Johnson and John Bowe placed second in the Shell Sierra. On the same lap in third place, Neil Crompton and Anders Olofsson. Down one lap in fourth place, 25, Tony Longhurst, Johnny Cicotto in the Benson and Hedges BMW. On the same lap in fifth, 16, Win Percy, Alan Grice, the Holden Racing Team Commodore.